I am live streaming from the House of AC. This is my house. I'm AC, otherwise known as Alan Corey. If you don't know about me, I've written a couple real estate investing books. I like to talk about real estate. I talk also frequently about crypto and NFTs in that space. I do those shows on Fridays. And today I want to talk about property management. This is a huge part of your success if you're interested in real estate investing and growing your real estate investing empire. Maybe you don't want an empire, but you want one or two rentals and you don't want anything to do with it. You want it to be very passive. Well, that's going to take property management to make that successful. And we're going to talk about all the ways property management can make you successful or unsuccessful. If you're tuning in now, please hit like and subscribe if you hear anything that you like. And I promise you, if you keep listening, you're going to find something that you like. And so then you got to promise me a thumbs up if that's the case, or leave me a review if you're listening to the podcast. And if you want to watch this video later, you can find it on the House of AC YouTube page, as well as the House of AC Facebook group. We also have a Discord going. Twitch is also streaming. What else do we got out there? It streams live on Twitter. So thanks for tuning in on Twitter. I just can't see your comments on Twitter when I'm live. I'll see your comments later. But if you have anything live that you're wanting to ask, you got to come to YouTube or Facebook page. And then I take a bunch of this content and I'll put it on Instagram and TikTok for you. So check out at the House of AC in those situations as well. Okay, property management. This is the thing that everyone is scared of when they get into real estate investing. I don't want to fix a toilet at 3:00. I don't want to collect rent. I don't want to evict someone. I don't want to, spend my weekends mowing a lawn across town. Whatever your worry is, pretty much every solution comes down, well, property management company handles that for you. And then they're saying, well, I don't want to pay for that because I can do it. It's so easy. Why would I pay for that? And you're right. It is easy. It is easy. It's what is your time worth? Are you going to pay yourself the time to go spend your weekend? To deal with things, to let tenants in, to collect rents, to schedule plumbers, meet electricians, whatever it is. You can either pay someone to do it, or you pay with your time. And depending where you are in your finances, in your career, in your goals, they may switch. So I'm going to talk about different times that you should probably self-manage and also look to outsourcing property management. Basically, it comes down to this. If you're looking to do a real estate career in some capacity, like you want to be a real estate investor full-time, if you want to be a real estate agent and you're new and you just want to get some reps in and understand how the business works, if you want to be a real estate developer, in anything to do with real estate, honestly, I think you're going to learn quickly as a property manager because you're dealing with tenants mainly. You're dealing with vendors, building those relationships. You're dealing with investors. Your boss, if you've been hired to work in property management, is obviously a real estate investor, or at least close contacts to real estate investors. So if you're a young person looking for a career, don't know where to get started, you've read all the books and you just want to get in the game, a lot of people go get their real estate license and then they just don't know what to do. They're frozen. They got their license and they don't know how to sell. Get a job as a property manager. It's not fun. It's low pay. You are, however, going to learn a tremendous amount about real estate, all aspects of real estate, and really the most important aspects about real estate. So what I advise is if you have the inclination to really want a real estate career, self-manage on your first 1 to 5 to 5 to 10 properties. And I'll go in more detail in a bit on these, but definitely 10 or fewer properties. If you're buying a property and you want to make this a career, self-managing, you're going to learn the ropes quickly. If in your head you want to keep your day job because you enjoy your day job, or you just can't fathom dealing with real estate, and you want to diverse out of some stock portfolios or mutual funds, and you just know you want some exposure to the real estate market, and that's it, then you should always have a property manager, because then you just want a passive. You want complete passive income, and it would be worth it probably for you to work your day job. You probably get paid better at your day job than you would saving the money as a property manager, and you get sleep better. You'll perform better at work, and your relationships aren't going to constantly need rescheduling because you're running to go fix this across town, left, right, and center. So going into this long conversation about property management, the advice depends what you want out of real estate, and go from there. But assuming you want a real estate career in some capacity, real estate agent, you want to be a mortgage lender, you want to be any of those things, definitely buy a property yourself or self-manage yourself on your first 5 properties. Uh, I would also recommend, if you're just getting into real estate investing, try to get those 5 properties within a 30-minute drive of your house. That is if you want to grow a local empire. A lot of folks and a lot of advice that I give here do not want to invest in the city that they are living in because it's too expensive. Maybe you live in New York and San Francisco, and then where are you going to find the $100,000 houses that rent for $1,100 a month? Well, they're in Tennessee, Indiana, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, a lot of Midwest, Arizona, a lot of Midwest and southern states. You can find that. So you have to get a property manager. It's going to be very, very difficult to property manage a company in a different state, in a different time zone. And I'm going to get to sourcing out good property managers in a bit as well. So your first, let's talk about the real estate investor who wants to grow a real estate investing empire. Definitely the first 5 properties you want to self-manage, keep them within 30 minutes so that you're not putting things off. If it's over a 30-minute drive, your thought process is, well, I'll wait till the weekend. And then basically every issue, you wait till the weekend, and you're pushing everything out a week, and it's going to be stressful. And then your weekend, which is supposed to be your day off, you're dealing with all these headaches all at once, multiple things at once. But if a property is 30 minutes or fewer to drive to, you'll probably take care of it that day. You can go meet a plumber after work. You can go on your lunch break, things like that. So that's when I would self-manage. And what is important about that is meeting your tenants for the first time and just hearing the questions that they ask. And when you're showing the property, and the most frustrating thing is, I don't know what is, but most people who take a time to make an appointment to come look at your property to rent it, they are the flakiest humans in the world, and they will never show up. So I'll save you this headache, a learning lesson. You want to triple check, send them a text message the day before, leave them a voicemail the morning of, text them 30 minutes before, just confirming we're going to meet at this property at this time. And they will, if you do those 3 things, you'll have a better success rate. Otherwise, you're driving across town and no one ever shows up. I don't know what it is. That being said, when they do show up, what kind of questions are they asking you? Because this is going to make you a better real estate investor. If these tenants are saying, hey, are we close to, public transportation? Where's the bus stop? Where's the subway stop? Or the utility bills, are they all gas? Are they electric? Can I make it all electric? Who pays for water? Things like this are very important to hear as a real estate investor, because what those questions are telling you what's important to tenants at this price point in this neighborhood. And then you can go take those questions and apply them to your next 3, 4, 5 investments. So if someone keeps asking you about how to walk to the bus stop, well, then it's going to be important to buy properties walkable to a bus stop, most likely, right? If multiple people come in to apply, ask that same question. If a lot of tenants ask you, is everything all electric? And they get excited, there's a reason for that. Because what that means in some lower income neighborhoods is, if you set up a gas utility bill, well, then you got to put a security deposit down. And then if you get electric bill, you got to get electric bill, you put a security deposit down. If you get a water bill, then you got to put a water security deposit down. You have all these security deposits that's out there, and that might be breaking the bank for a lot of people, and very difficult, especially after spending a lot of money moving. And you want to make it easy financially for all your tenants, to obviously, so they can pay you as well. So save them those security deposits. So depending on the income class, a lot of them they want all electric because then it's only one bill that they've got to worry about. And if you can put everything in the entire house on electric bill, you will have, depending on the neighborhood, one of the prime properties. People will rent yours over some of the others. And those are things you wouldn't learn, but without meeting your property, your tenants on the property and hearing those questions. Other price points, other class of tenants, they only want gas in their kitchen because it's easy. It makes for better food. If they're foodies and they want to cook and they want a chef's kitchen, it's a different asset class. They will pay extra to have gas stoves, and they will only rent gas stoves. So you really have to understand who your tenant is and who you're investing for and what they want, and that's by meeting them. And I've found, some people want to be walkable or right next to a bus stop or subway because then they don't have to pay for a car. And then if their car breaks down, they can still get to work. And you want them to get to work, right? Because then they can have money to pay rent and stay on top, and they'll be a great lifelong tenant potentially, or they save enough money and they can buy their own house one day, and you give them that stepping stone. So these are things that come up when you meet your tenants, and that's why if you're just starting out and you want to be a property manager or you want to be a real estate investor full-time, property management helps you get there. You're going to learn those questions, you're going to learn what's important, and you're going to understand that neighborhood a little bit more. Further along those things, when you are also self-managing your own properties, you're also going to be the middleman for everything. So that means you're going to have to schedule the plumber to show up, the electrician to show up, the landscaping guy, the trash removal guy, all that sort of stuff. And this is a great exercise for a budding entrepreneur in the real estate space, because you want to create this superstar vending team as you grow and as you scale your business. Meeting a plumber there, and the first, you meet 3 plumbers and 2 of them don't show up. Great. You weeded them out and you don't need to waste your time. And you might have a plumber that's good and does a great job, or they do a bad job. And then next time you get a different plumber. And what happens is over time, you're going to curate your team of vendors that you trust. They know your face, and they're reliable, and they give you a good price, and they do a good job. This is very important when you're first starting out. That helps you grow as well. And what you'll find out later in the show when I tell you that. Secondly, so I think that covers the point on the small side. So first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 investments, do all this. You're doing all the legwork. You're driving to it. You're doing it after hours on your lunch break. It's a lot of work, but you're going to learn tremendous amount of money. Or you're going to learn tremendous amount, and you're going to save some money, but you're exchanging your time for money. Moving on. Now when you want to buy 5 to 10 properties, you are sort of in that point where do you want to continue to self-manage, or do you not? If you do want to continue to self-manage, you want to focus on efficiency. At this stage, you're going to want to put everything in the software. There's great tools out there, one-stop shop for software, that will screen your tenants for you, collect your rental income for you. You can put your repair request in the software. You can track everything, all your expenses. It basically does your accounting for you. At this stage, this is very important between 5 to 10 properties to kind of have these systems in places. This is when you want to do that. And because you've cultivated those vendor lists from your 0 to 5 properties, those first 5 properties, what you can do now is just have your tenants call those vendors directly. You are removing yourself as the middleman and saying, here, you could put it in the portal themselves. Whenever they log in, they can see who the plumber is, the handyman, the landscaper, the pest control person. You can put it on the refrigerator. You can email the list periodically to the tenants that basically says, if you have a plumbing issue, call this plumber. He's a approved plumber for this property. And you're not having to meet the plumber there. The tenant can tell the plumber what the issue is, can leave a key, or the plumber can come when the tenant is home, and you know them face to face. You've done business. They've watched you grow. You've helped grow their business. And at this stage, everyone's sort of on the same team. This will really make you more efficient, and you're not driving all across town, and you're going to be a better investor at this point. I would say once you hit 5 properties, you're an expert. If especially if those 5 properties are in the same zip code or part of town or asset class, you are an expert here, and now your vendors are going to be experts. If you have a property that's A class luxury and you've got a low income property, you're probably going to have to create 2 different teams, because the low class person, lower tenant class, just basically means they're lower income at that stage in their life. They have different needs. They don't need a granite countertop. They could have laminate flooring. That vendor who is going to put laminate flooring probably may not have the skill set to do high-end wood flooring on your other property. So if you really can keep your properties within the same asset class and locations and areas, then you can reuse those same vendors and make them experts at that sort of property type. All this is really important to growing your empire and making success. Property management software is going to help you do all that. All your reporting is one space. It's just one click, and it's not on 10 different spreadsheets and in an email and in your notebook. It's put everything in a software when you reach this scale. And you can communicate with all the tenants this way too. At this point, you're training your tenants, and you're making sure they're not calling you or texting you. If they do, you just ignore it and you respond to them in the portal. And you basically have to train the tenants. Hey, if you want to communicate with the owner, you only do it in the portal, and I'm only going to respond Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. If it's an emergency, here's my vendor list. You have permission to call any of these vendors at any time, take care of you. And you obviously at that time have built a team that you trust. All this helps you grow your self-management from 5 to 10. Now what happens is once you get 10 or more, maybe you're now buying property 11, you know what you're doing, and you are probably worth more getting out there and focusing on different things besides property management. Property management is a low paying job. It's hard work. It's long hours. It's easy, but it's low paying. So it's not hard to train someone up if you want to have an assistant do it. But there's very capable property management companies out there. And at this stage is when I would say you want to go all in on a property management company. It's when you have 10 or more properties or 10 or more doors. So that could be 5 duplexes, but 10 or more tenants that you're dealing with. Or if you're long distance real estate investing, this is when you 100% need property management. If you're someone who just wants to keep your day job head down and be completely passive on property number 1, you can also get a property management company. And this is when to start paying attention if you're fall in any of those categories. Looking for property management companies online usually is a fool's errand. Everyone's going to have a terrible review. That's because owners don't ever leave reviews online for property managers. Only people that do are tenants. And typically it's tenants that got evicted or got charged a late fee, got charged a repair fee. Their security deposits were held back because they destroyed the property. All these things that you actually want to happen when a good property manager will actually do. They'll live up to the terms of the lease. That usually gets them poor reviews online. So don't go by the online reviews for sure. Secondly, if you want a property manager that has a software system in place, some of those software systems, Buildium, depending on the size of your portfolio or the portfolio that they manage and the number of clients. Appfolio is another one. Propertyware, Cozy.co, which just got bought by Apartments.com. There's Tenant Cloud. There's a myriad of options out there. It really depends on your niche and how many properties you need managed and how much you want to spend. Some of them are free if you have under 5 units. Some are $10 a month. Some are $500 a month. So it's really what bells and whistles you want with your property management. But the one that you're sourcing, the property manager you're talking to should have their own software system in place, and just ask them what they use. See some examples of the reporting that they do. And so that way, as a landlord, as a real estate investor, you just log into a portal. You can check every single property. You can see how many repairs, what's vacant, what the lease terms are, when the person is going to move in, or their security deposit. You have all the information in one login on a website, and you're not calling someone up, waiting for someone to get back to you. It's all right there at a click of the button, and that'll make your life really easy. And at this stage, if you've outsourcing it after managing it for yourself, it's because you need to spend your entire time now on sourcing deals, uh, acquisition of those deals, figuring out financing, running the numbers, looking at properties. You are a real estate expert. You're about to be able to break through, do this as a full-time job, and you know what it takes to be a property manager. So you'll appreciate when your property manager is doing it. You'll understand their stories when they say they can't do X, Y, Z. You'll understand what the tenants want, just like the property manager will want. And all of this will make you obviously better and more successful because now you have that. You don't have any calls at all. You don't even know who the tenants are unless you look in the portal and look up their names. Like they don't even know who the owner is. There's no longer any direction. Every call has to go to the property management company, and you will be relieved by it. And so imagine all that time saved so that you can focus on finding new deals. Then this is when your real estate career goes in overdrive. That let's see, what else do you have here? Property management fees at this stage also go down tremendously. So when you have 9 or fewer properties, typically a property management company is going to say it's 10% of rental income. Whatever they collect in rent, let's say it's $1,000, they're going to take 10% of that, $100. They are incentivized then to make sure it's not vacant and to keep it filled because they don't get paid if it's vacant. If there's zero income coming in, they get $0. They're also incentivized to rent it for as much money as possible. If they can rent it for $1,100, they'll go do it. That'll make them a little bit more money. So this is a great relationship, and this is what you want in a property management company: is one that's incentivized to keep it vacant and keep it filled, and make your tenants stay long term. When you have 10 or more properties, you can usually negotiate a discount. So it's now no longer 10%. You're now at scale. You get volume discounts across everything. Starting with property management, when you have a large portfolio, it can get as low as 4%. They're now going to take 4% of your rental income, or 5, 6, 8%. Regardless, you will get a discount below 10% if you come to a property management company, or you get to the point where you've acquired 10 or more property management properties that need property management. The scalability will give you a discount. Likewise, you are going to be treated like royalty by that vendor list that you created. You'll probably get discounts from your plumber, your electrician, because now you're giving them so much work. You are now a primary customer, priority customer. If any of your tenants call in your properties, they will get there right away. Think of it this way: if you are a plumber, and you got 2 phone calls that need to be handled. One is someone you've never heard of before that owns a house, and you don't know if they'll ever call you again, or a client or a tenant calling from a client that has one of 10 properties, and they basically call you once a month about something. You're going to prioritize that company that's going to give you repeat business, right? That owner. So when you're at this scale, your property management company, or if you want to keep your vendor list there, they're going to treat you like royalty. But if you don't have that and you skip that stage, you never built that property management company has that loyalty in their own vendors. Every property management company has their roofer that they like, the landscaper they like, the pest control person they like. These are all common things, right? So they've cultivated this list. So if you don't have a list, you can leverage your property manager's list of all-star vendors who are going to treat you well because you're associated with a large property management firm that's given them a lot of business. And typically they're not going to take advantage of you. Everyone's worried about that. What if their vendors are more expensive? What I found is possibly they are slightly more expensive, but they will definitely do a better job, because the worst thing that a property manager wants is to fix the same issue 2 or 3 times. They will gladly get someone who will fix it right the first time, and so that you don't have to come back. And so that paying that little extra is going to be worth it to you as a landlord as well. Get it done right. Don't get it done cheaply, because if you get it done cheaply, you're going to have to fix it twice. And then 3 times, and then you pay someone more money to get it done right. So at this age, you're leveraging other people's knowledge and skill sets and relationships when you sort of outsource a property management company. Other thing to talk about: sourcing a good PM. We talked about that. If you can't rely on the the reviews, then you talk to the property management company and say, I want to talk to some other owners, right? I want owners that have more than one property. And those owners who have more than one property that they refer you to, they probably invest in multiple different markets and can have certain expectations, property management company, and they will be open and honest with you in those situations. You don't necessarily want one property management company for all your properties. A property management company usually specializes in a certain niche. This could be a geographic niche. I'm only doing this part of town, so they don't have to drive all over the state. It could be, hey, we only do luxury housing. We only do single families. We only do low income. Every property management company has a niche. So depending what you're investing in and where you're investing in, you may have to have 2 or 3 different property management companies. Okay. I just sold a bunch of property, but I had one property management company handling 50 properties an hour from here. And I have a different property management company handling 20 in-town units. And I have a third property management handling properties that I own that are over 40 units, like apartment buildings. 3 different property management companies, all within an hour's drive. They all have different niches and specialties. So you may fall in that boat too. It's really difficult to find one that will do everything under the sun. And if you do find that person that does everything under the sun, they're probably not good at it because they're not an expert, right? You want someone who becomes an expert in your niche that you're investing in. Now what's next? Let's say you get to 11 to 100. This is when you need a property management. Outsource it. When you get 10 units to 100, because you're just focusing on acquisition. You will not get to 100 if you try to self-manage everything. You'll never get there. That day will be a rare day. I'm sure as I say that, someone's going to leave a comment because they have a cousin or an uncle or someone, a sister who did this. But you're spending all your time changing light bulbs and collecting rent. How are you going to find the best deals out there, right? But once you get to over 100 units, then I would say look into starting your own property management company. Because at this scale, at this stage, it's going to be cheaper for you to have your own in-house full-time handyman or contractor or electrician or plumber or landscaper. You're going to have your own in-house leasing agents. At this scale, 100 units or more is when you start your own property management company to save money. And you're going to want to resist the urge to property management other people's properties. Just focus on what you have. If you've got 100 units and more, only manage your own properties. The reason for this is you're going to start having conflicts of interest. If your property management, your friends or relatives or other random clients that found you, you're going to get in difficult conversations where, hey, I've got a tenant who wants to, look at 2 properties and has a budget of $1,000 and only has an hour. Do you show them your property, your 2 properties that are $1,000 in rent and vacant? Do you show them 2 of your clients' properties that are $1,000 and vacant, or one of each? And if they choose yours, it will always potentially be fishy that, wait a minute, how come your units are always filled first and mine aren't? Or the plumber says, hey, I know I've got 2 emergency leaks. Which one's more important? Are you going to put your property first, or are you going to put your client's property first? That's the decision for you. I would imagine, it's you. If you're going to put someone else's property first all the time, which is my default, then you're doing a disservice to your own investments. So why don't you just focus on your own investments and don't do any property management for anyone else? And then that way your own investments are always top priority. And that's obviously a good investment move as well. And it's a low profit, high volume business. So to really make money in property management, you have to have over 100 units of someone else's as well to kind of make it worthwhile, doing all the reporting and the licenses. If you're self-managing your own property, you don't need any special licenses. If you're managing someone else's property, you do. Typically, you need a licensed real estate agent on staff, a bunch of insurance, and you have to go through a bunch of training programs. But if it's your own property, you can kind of just do anything you want under the sun. It's when you start managing with someone else is when you become a legit business and have to hold insurance and contractors that are licensed, and all the insurance stuff sort of kicks up to another gear. Um, Again, if you're doing your own property management, you want to narrow the focus, keep it to a region, asset class. Processes and systems are super important. Every phone call needs to go through the same system. So if you're property managing yourself, realize you might have to have different property management companies for different asset classes. Someone in a rural area may not have access to internet or want access to the internet. So if you're collecting all your rents via internet portal, they might not fall into that category. They have to mail in their checks, or it's an older person who doesn't trust banks, whatever it is, a young person who only wants to pay in cryptocurrency. These are going to be new problems, right? So these things, you have to have systems in place. And if you make one-off situation, this property, this person does this, and that property, this person does this tenant does that, you have no system, you have no processes. How do you staff up? You're going to have this entire employees that have different processes and different steps for handling every tenant, every property, every issue, and you can't scale that way quickly. You can't do a good job scaling, and there's people are going to fall in the cracks. And then when someone leaves and you have to retrain someone, you can't just say, here's a manual and here's a training guide and this is how we do things. You're now training that person. This is how we do things on this property. This is how we do things on that property. And it's just a lot of effort. And so any turnover is really going to slow you down and kill you. And, speed is the game in here, and putting your energy and focus on growing your empire. And if you're having to train people a different way on every single property, obviously you will not have the best ability to scale. That's staff member have to have yeah. So that's it. That's how you get to over 100 properties. Those are the steps when you want to self manage. It's up to you. Now that I've done it, I've started my own property management company. I've shut it down. I've started a new one once I get to a certain size. I've learned all these things over time. I will happily pay for a property manager to manage my properties because I enjoy the finding the deal. I enjoy closing the deal. I don't enjoy the in-between parts and the post-deal process. That to me is not enjoyable. And maybe it's enjoyable to you. Maybe you are the handyman that enjoys that, and go for it. But to me, the highs, the dopamine hits are got a good deal, got it under contract, got it closed. Boom, outsource everything. Let me move on and let me get that dopamine hit again on a different type of property. And so figure out where your dopamine gets hit and go from there. But if you are wanting to be a good real estate agent, property management, you're going to learn so much. This is just dealing with tenants and understanding investments. If you want to be a good real estate investor, go get a job as a property manager, property manager for someone else. Low pay. You're going to learn tremendous amounts of the real estate business. If you want to do anything in real estate investing, I think easy exposure is property management because people are always hiring. And if you just want education and you just want to talk to real estate investors, well, if you want to rub shoulders with real estate investors, go be a property management manager for someone. Go work for a property management company because that's all you're doing is your clients are truly real estate investors. They're not the tenants. Your clients are the people who have hired you. Your boss are real estate investors, and that's really how you can talk and rub shoulders and pick their brains. And if you're a real estate investor, a good source for deals is also having a good property manager. I've bought dozens of property because my property manager said, hey, I'm managing someone else's property and they want to sell. Do you want to buy it? Yeah, let's do this off market. And that property manager wins because he would have lost 12, 20 houses selling it to someone else who's going to use a different property manager. So this property manager is incentivized to keep it in-house. So let me try to sell it to another property manager. The reverse has happened too. I just sold last week 28 units through my property manager, who I asked, do you know any other investors that would want to buy these 28 units before I list it? And he did. Because who else is going to know so many real estate investors besides a property manager? And so many deals get done through a property management angle. And pretty much every property manager has their real estate license for this same reason. So once you get to a certain scale, hire that property management company. They're going to love you with all the business you're bringing them, and they're going to start bringing you deals, and you can start selling your deals through this property manager in many cases because they're lined up with investors, and those investors trust the property manager, and so it's really clean and easy deal. And they're going to have access to all the leases and the tenants, and there's no turnover, things like that. That sort of leads me to this. A lot of questions I get along buying real estate investment that has tenants already in place. I love this. A lot of new investors want a tenant or want to only buy property that's vacant so they can put their own tenants in. I can kind of see that line of reasoning. If you're new and you're nervous and you want to be the property manager, you want to screen the tenants and you want to set your rules from day one, I can see that viewpoint. The other viewpoint, the one I have is, hey, if there's a tenant in place, they are we can see how much they're paying. We can see the rental receipts, see if they've paid on time. And then the day I close, that tenant's already paying me money. I don't have a month or 2 month lag before I'm getting the house in rental shape, putting up ads, interviewing tenants, making 2 months worth of mortgage payments before a tenant moves in. Here, the day I close, I get the prorated rent. If I close on the 15th, I get half a day's of rent at the closing table. If I close on the 1st, I get 30 days of rent at the closing table. If, and the tenant's already in place, I'm making money instantly. So I kind of like it when a tenant's in place. Also, I know the house is livable and the condition that it's in, the tenant is okay with in most cases, right? Otherwise, they would have moved out, especially if a tenant's been there 2 years, 3 years, however long. They are okay with the property. They are okay with the condition of the property. If it was such a bad shape, they would have moved out. So a lot of new folks will come in and say, this house is vacant. I can't rent this until I put in new cabinets, or I paint this, or I replace and reglaze the bathtub, or whatever it is, because you think this is what you need to do before you rent. But you here in the situation with there's tenants, the bathtub's not reglazed and they've been there for 3 years. No one cares. You don't have to spend money on that. The cabinets maybe have a squeaky handle, but they, instead of stressing about it, the tenants lived with it for 3 years, and you can still fix it. Right? You just don't have to fix it right away. You can save up for it. You can wait until there's other repairs that need to be done in that house. And then you fix all this sort of ticky-tack stuff. And then the tenant will love you, obviously, in that situation. If you do buy a property with a tenant, the lease conveys with the property. Okay. So if they have a lease that says we are going to lease through December and you're buying it in May, you have to honor that lease. The lease stays with the property. You can't change those terms. But every lease has an end date. And so whatever that end date is, that's when you can come in with your own terms. So you can say, hey, I'm not renewing your lease. You have to move out. Or you can say, this is the new terms of the lease that I'm going to give you in 2 months. If you want to move out, please give me notice. But these are going to be the new terms of the lease. And you can work it through however you see fit. A lot of times, property managers will have their own leases and you don't even have to worry about that. If you do need a lease, there's plenty of templates online. Just Google the state you're investing in and say lease template. But I would recommend maybe talking to a real estate agent, a property manager, or a closing attorney, a real estate attorney to give you a more thorough lease. And I promise you the property manager is going to have the most thorough leases in the world because it makes their life easy. They have everything that a property manager will say is, what does the lease say? What does the lease say? And a property manager is going to have every question that's ever come up in their world put on that lease. And so leverage that as yes, no's, and questions. And it's always a property manager's lease is always going to benefit the property manager. And if it benefits the property manager, it's going to benefit the landlord about when, extra fees and fines and notice given and when to move out and the steps to get your security deposit back. They're going to be a well-oiled machine because they do so many properties and they have to have their system in place to be successful. I think I just talked your ear off about property management. So there you go. Those are the steps to self-manage, when to outsource, what to look for when you outsource. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for listening to the House of AC. I love your reviews online, and any questions you get, whether you're watching this live or later, I will respond to. So feel free to go to the YouTube page and leave your comments there. Thanks for tuning in. I live stream every single day. And tomorrow we're going to interview someone I'm very excited about, another person who read my book, House Fire, Financial Independence, Retire Early, and how they set up their life to reach fire through buying real estate investment. And we will ask them about I'm curious now. I don't know if they're self-managing or not. So we'll probably talk to that about that in the next episode. So thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next